decade. Maintenance services, 24 hours power supply through independent power plant, reliable water supply, access to schools, clinics, worship centers, coffee pharmacies, police stations, shopping malls, recreational parks. Enough secure space for your children to play and ride their bikes while you can take a stroll in an extremely peaceful, beautiful and fully landscaped environment. Wow! It is a great way to bring your dream into reality. This is the Plantation City today at the Plantation City 5, Otokutu along DLT Expressway, Otokutu Geography State. For more inquiries, please call 0802-808-8144 and 0806-680-8993 and 0803-446-7510. Plantation City, your true city in nature.
If a pack of souvenir is 1,875 naira, how much will it cost to get for 750 guests?
1,106,250 naira.
Correct.
So get very sharp to secret for her brother.
For years, Carol has been building great-minded, strong families.
Ma, me too. I like to have brains.
Our meal.
Glorious excellence. The families of Magnal, Senior Korocha, and October Water, Uburuku, and Manchester with themselves, and late Chief Onya, a union of the Chief family, Akara, Idoka, local government, announced the passing of the day, and our daughter, sister, aunt, mother, and grandmother, late Teresa, Omeni Ochi, new Onya, she was aged 74. She is survived by husband, 3 children, 8 grandchildren, brothers, sisters, nephews, husband, Parnell, Senior Korocha, Orange, address Nigerians on Democracy Day celebrations on Friday. Delta State government restates commitments to complete Ayakoromo Bridge and other projects. National Assembly passes 2020 revised readjusted budget.
Delta State House of Assembly approves construction of Mother-Child Diagnostic Center at Owalero. On sports, task force inaugurated to drive rehabilitation of National Stadium, Lagos. Good evening. Welcome to the drtv News. I am Oris Esima Aniretan. To commemorate the nation's Democracy Day, President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to address the nation on Friday by 7 in the morning. Special advisor to President Muhammadu on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, in a statement on Thursday said that television and radio stations as well as other electronic media outlets are enjoined to hook up to the network services of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, and Radio Nigeria, respectively, for the broadcasts. The federal government has declared Friday, June 12, 2020, a public holiday to mark Democracy Day celebration. The Minister of Interior, Ogbeni Aregbesola, made the declaration on behalf of the federal government in a statement signed by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry Interior, Georgina Ehuria. The minister, who congratulated all Nigerians at home and abroad for the entrenchment of democratic rule in the country, commended the heroes of democracy for their dogged determination and sacrifice, which eventually birthed democratic governance in the country. He called on all Nigerians to continue to cherish the selfless efforts and collaboration, as well as collaborate with the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration to ensure the realization of the democratic deals which these patriotic fought for, even at the cost of their lives. The minister, who reassured Nigerians of the federal government's commitment to battling the COVID-19 pandemic with the cooperation of Nigeria, advised them to take responsibility for stopping the spread of the virus. He reiterated the need for all Nigerians to stay safe by observing physical and social distancing, personal and respiratory hygiene, as well as other regulations issued by relevant authorities. The minister wished all Nigerians at home and abroad a happy Democracy Day celebration. The Delta State government says the Ayakurumo Bridge linking Brutu and Ughelli South local government area in the state will be vigorously executed as a top priority project. The Commissioner for Works, Chief James Ogoye, stated this Wednesday in Ayakurumo while speaking to newsmen after inspecting ongoing projects of the bridge linking Ayakurumo in Brutu and Egbe, the community in Ughelli South local government area. The reports.
Chief James Ogoye stated that the project, whose contract was awarded in 2013, was one of the critical infrastructure inherited from the previous administration. Chief Ogoye disclosed that the project was a budgetary provision of 1 billion in the 2020 budget and was the only project not affected by the recent downward review of the budget as a result of economic downturn occasioned by prevailing COVID-19 pandemic. He revealed that more funds would be released to the contractor soon to enable him mobilize back to site to complete the piling works in the water. He said with the work on the project 68.5% completed, the project would be upscaled in 2021 to ensure that it was completed before the end of the administration in 2023. The commissioner commended the Ayakurumo community for the cooperation given to the contractor to execute the project.
I want to assure the community and the contractor that His Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, has taken this project as a priority project.
The chairman of Ayakurumo community, Mr. Mekurumo Moses, thanked Governor Kowa for the project and appealed for more funding for it to be completed on time.
The people of Owolo Solomo and Fronto communities in Ughelli South local government area can now heave a sign of relief as the bridge linking both communities has now been completed by the Delta State government. The project contract was first awarded 39 years ago, but abandoned by previous administrations in the state until Governor Ifeanyi Okowa came into office and awarded the project to Obakbo Engineering Construction Company Limited. The reports. The bridge, which is 100 meters long and 20 meters span, has a height of 45 meters from the water level and 300 meters asphalt road and side drains on both sides of the approach. While inspecting the project, the Commissioner for Works, Chief James Ogoye, said that the project was a dream come true for the people of both communities, adding that it was another milestone in achieving the stronger Delta vision of Governor Okowa's administration. Chief Ogoye noted that the project had opened up the economic landscape of both communities, adding that investors were now free to invest in the area. He commended the contractor for his ingenuity in delivering the project, noting that the project was one of the success stories of indigenous engineering in the country.
I want to appeal to the contractor, just as he has promised, that by next week he should mobilize fully to ensure that the piling work in the river is completed.
The Commissioner also inspected ongoing construction of access roads to New Tankers Park, access roads to Warri Refinery and the depot, the Fiakbo Road off Sediko Road, as well as Ogodogu Street off Udu Road. The Works Commissioner also inspected the ongoing dualization of Efrun-Saple Road, where he commended the contractor for the quality of work done. He urged them to increase the pace of work to meet completion times for the various projects. Nigerian Senate on Thursday upwardly readjusted the 2020 revised budget from 10.805 trillion by an additional 5.2 billion naira less than 2 hours after passing the money bill. Both chambers of the National Assembly admitted errors in omitting some statutory transfers for some government agencies after increasing the oil benchmark from $25 per barrel to $28 per barrel. The increase comes as statutory transfers for NDDC, NEDC, UBEC and basic health care also increased in the revised budget. The Senate passed the readjusted budget and thereafter embarked on a 2-week recess to celebrate the 9th Assembly's first year anniversary. The House of Representatives has passed the 2020 revised budget, increasing the proposed sum from 10.509 trillion naira to 10.805 trillion naira. Abuja correspondent Don Major Ifodu reports that the budget was passed on Wednesday at plenary after the clause-by-clause consideration of the report of the Committee on Appropriation at the Committee of Supply, chaired by the Speaker, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. The report. The report of the Committee on Appropriation had provided 10.801 trillion naira for the revised budget, but during the consideration at the Committee of Supply, 4 billion naira was added to take care of hazard and other welfare packages for resident doctors not earlier captured. The House also approved President Muhammadu Buhari's request to borrow $5.513 billion to finance the deficit in the 2020 budget. The federal government intends to borrow $3.4 billion from the International Monetary Fund (IMF) for rapid financing instrument and $1.5 billion for the World Bank for development policy financing. Others are $500 million from the African Development Bank for COVID-19 crisis response budget support operation and $113 million from the Islamic Development Bank to partly finance the 2020 revised budget deficit. From the federal scene, The House of Representatives has commenced public hearing on the controversial bill seeking to repeal the Quarantine Act 2004 and replace it with the Infectious Disease Control Bill 2020. Abuja correspondent Don Major Ifowodo again reports that the Speaker, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, speaking at the opening session of the public hearing on Wednesday, said the Green Chamber has witnessed an unprecedented number of engagements by a cross-section of the Nigerian public since the bill was first brought forward for consideration. The reports.
Honorable Gbajabiamila described the bill as a critical piece of legislature that deals with matters of public health that affects all Nigerians. The bill, which is sponsored by the Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, Chairman, House Committee on Health Institution, Praska Obi, and Chairman of the Committee on Health Services, Tanko Sununu, has received widespread criticism that affected the express passage of the bill for second reading by the House. There were also speculations of sinister motives behind the bill and allegation of bribery, which the House had since denied. It's also the belief of many Nigerians that the bill, which gives so much power to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC), will infringe on human rights with the provision of a clause on compulsory vaccination. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Governors Forum has again opposed the proposed infectious disease bill and has asked the drafters of the bill to balance public health with human rights. The chairman of the forum and governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, while presenting the position of governors on the bill at the public hearing Wednesday, maintained that the state governors should, among other things, be given the power to declare a place an infectious area. He added that governors should also be allowed to make regulations and directives towards prevention and further spread of an infectious disease within their states where the president is yet to do so. The 36 state governors also raised concerns that the bill appears to vest overbearing discretionary powers on the Director General of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC) while making no provision for reviewing and controlling the exercise of such powers. In the same vein, the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Ayuba Waba, in conjunction with TUC and other groups, identified 17 grey areas in the bill. They decried a clause in the bill that seeks to include malaria and typhoid as infectious disease. The infectious disease bill had raised controversies across the country, particularly following allegations that the leadership of the National Assembly was financially influenced in making sure the bill is passed into law.
From the home front, the Delta State House of Assembly has approved the state government's request to finance the construction of a mother and child and diagnostic centers at Owalero, a Camp North-East local government area, through contract financing model. Assembly correspondent Nkemweke reports that approval was sequel to a letter to that effect by Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, read at plenary by the Speaker, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori. The reports.
In the letter requesting approval of the state legislature for the construction of a mother and child center, Governor Okowa said the State Executive Council in its 14th meeting held on 1st November 2019 approved the construction of the center as part of efforts to provide quality health care and reduce mortality rate. The governor said ESCO at the meeting approved the sum of 1,357,330,903 naira 1 kobo for the execution of the project, pointing out that after due consideration of present economic realities and to ensure early completion of the project, the Ministry of Health opted for the contractor financing model. He said following a consideration for an upward review of the initial sum by the Tenders Board, the Executive Council in its meeting held on 21st January 2020 approved the recommended sum of 1,382,897,981 naira 26 kobo with 30% down payment. Governor Kowa explained that the contractor has accepted to finance the project up to 70% of the contract sum, while 12% interest rate will be charged annually on the 70% project sum, adding that the state government is expected to issue irrevocable standing payment order to the contractor for a duration of 30 months. In his letter to the House requesting approval for the state government to finance the diagnostic medical complex, also read at plenary by the Speaker, Honorable Sheriff Warri, Governor Kowa said after recommendation by the Tenders Board, the State Executive Council in its meeting also held on 21st January 2020 approved upward review of the contract sum of 1,716,621,173 naira 73 kobo. He explained that the contractor has also accepted to finance the project up to 70% of the contract sum, while 12% interest rate will be charged annually on the 70% project sum, adding that the state government is expected to issue an irrevocable standing payment order to the contractor for a duration of 30 months. Majority Leader Honorable Timo Wefer in separate motions moved for the receipt of the letters and the approvals. The motions were unanimously adopted. The House also at plenary received a report from the Committee on Health on the Delta State Maternal and Perinatal Death Surveillance and Response Bill 2019. Further legislative action on the bill has been slated for 23rd June 2020.
The Delta State House of Assembly has rebuffed any public perception of the lawmaking house being an appendage of the executive arm of government in the state. The Speaker, Right Honorable Sheriff Warri, at a media briefing to mark the first anniversary of the 7th Assembly in Asaba, said the three arms of government must synergize for peace and good governance of the state. Assembly correspondent Nkem Mweke's report is presented from our studios.
The Speaker, Right Honorable Sheriff Warri, stated that the legislature was only in synergy with the executive to speed up development in the state, maintaining that such cooperation should not be misconstrued as being a rubber stamp house.
There must be a synergy between the legislature and the executive, and that brings in development. And as a house, we all know that the work of the legislator is usually lobbying and dialogue. And in our house here, we lobby, we dialogue with the executive. And that's why things are working well in that aspect.
Enumerating achievements of the first session of the 7th Assembly, the Speaker said the House, since its inauguration on June 10, 2019, and with the cooperation of the Executive, has been able to achieve and record several giant strides, while thanking his distinguished colleagues for their unwavering support towards him and the leadership of the House. Right Honorable Warri recommended the leadership and members of the state chapter of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASAN, for the cordial working relationship with members of the House. The Speaker extended the appreciation of the House to the State Governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, for his support to the legislature, and further thanked traditional rulers and the press for their cooperation in the past years. On the COVID-19 pandemic, Right Honorable Warri decried the discomfort and devastating effect of the virus on the society, disclosing that necessary measures were put in place by the leadership of the House to resume legislative activities in the Assembly complex.
We have our medical team, medical doctor and nurses, taking temperature of members and staff. We look at all the points, that will washing points, where you wash your hands and all that, and also provided sanitizers. So, as a house, we have done our best, and you should see that before now you don't put on your face mask. Now we still don't have face mask to plenary.
The Speaker expressed optimism that the House will achieve greater heights as it enters another session, and commended his colleagues for the confidence reposed on him.
The Deputy Chief Whip of the Delta State House of Assembly, Honorable Solomon Krapata, says 1 year of the 7th Delta State House of Assembly has been very eventful. Honorable Ikrapata, who represents Uwe constituency in the House, attributed the success story of the 7th Assembly to the leadership prowess of the Speaker, Right Honorable Sheriff Warri. The reports.
The Uwe lawmaker, Honorable Solomon Ikrapata, said the Speaker, Right Honorable Sheriff Warri, has been very outstanding as the presiding officer of the House. He noted that the leadership style of the Speaker was responsible for love, understanding, unity amongst members. Honorable Ikrapata also paid glowing tributes to Right Honorable Sheriff Warri for the sound synergy between the state legislature and other arms of government, describing the cordial relationship existing between the Delta State House of Assemblies and the state executive as second to none in the country, while urging the Speaker to remain focused in his collaborative efforts with other relevant stakeholders in governance of Delta State. The UYA representative commended the other principal officers and members for their contribution, quality leadership in the 7th Assembly. Honorable Ikrapata, who is also the chairman House Committee on Special Duties, assured the people of UYA of more robust representation in the state legislative and litigations that characterized a better part of the year under review had been put under the people. The lawmaker added that the voice of the people of UYA was very pronounced on the floor of the House during debate on motions and bills. He stated that the position of constituents on any matters before the House very canvassed to logistic ends during the debate and commended the Speaker for always giving him the opportunity to speak. Honorable Ikrapata thanked the State Governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, for his support and the Etri people of UYA for their encouragement, patience and understanding. Honorable Ikrapata said measures were being intensified for greater human capital and infrastructural development in the constituency. Honorable Ikrapata urged the people to help sustain the peace, unity of purpose and progress in UYA, expressing optimism for better days ahead.
The 7th Assembly of the Delta State Legislature marked its first year anniversary. The member representing Udu constituency in the Delta State House of Assembly, Honorable Peter Evejitobo, has commended his constituents for their support so far. Honorable Evejitobo thanked the Udu people for having PDP as their best choice by massively voting for Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa as governor and himself as House of Assembly member. The lawmaker spoke in an interview with Assembly correspondent Nkemweke. The reports.
The lawmaker, Honorable Peter Evejitobo, said although there was a success story to tell of the past 1 year, there was still some challenges that slowed down the pace of development. The lawmaker, who is the chairman House Committee on Water Resources, cited electoral litigation which ended at the appeal court with favor in his side. Honorable Evejitobo, however, stated that in the first year of the 7th Assembly, he has commenced some construction of 2 blocks of 6 classrooms with offices, each at the Okpaka Secondary School, Okpaka and Panama Primary School, Orugun, as well as influenced the renovation of 2 blocks of 6 classrooms in Egini Secondary School, Egini, Udu local government area through the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. The lawmaker, however, revealed that he has appointed over 40 persons in Udu as well as aides, just as he has also influenced the appointment of good numbers of indigenes, including political appointees, into political appointment in Okowa administration. In the area of infrastructure, he said for the past 1 year, he has ensured that the failed portion of
this young man just texted me right now. He took action with my program, which most people don't. He just made his first.
Come on, sicker than your average opportunist cabbage off instinct. Niggas don't think shit, stink pink hitters. My Detroit players, tips for my hooligans in Brooklyn. Dead right, if the head right, Biggie there, and night. Papa been fools since days of under rules. Never lose, never choose to bruise, cruise, so do something to us. Talk, go through us. Girls want to us, wanna do us, screw us, who us? Yeah, Papa and Mama. Close like Starsky and Hutch, stick to clutch. Yeah, I squeeze 3 at your cherry M3, bang every MC easily. Take that. Recently, niggas frontin' ain't saying nothing, so I just speak my peace, keep my peace. Cubans with the Jesus peace, with my peace. Asking who want it, you got it, nigga flaunt it. That Brooklyn bullshit, we on it.
Resident of DSC full-time to pushing the attitude in constituency taken by the COVID-19 lockdown. The lawmaker quoted Governor Ifeanyi Okowa for his love and support to the state and commended him for his monumental stride across the state.
I put hoes in NY onto DKNY. Miami, DC, prefer Versace. All Philly hoes, cabbage on instinct, niggas don't get shit, stink, big hitters. My Detroit players, Tim's for my hooligans in Brooklyn. Dead right, get the head right, Biggie there, every night. Papa been school since days of under rules. Never lose, never choose to, bruise, cool, do something to us, talk, go through us. To us, wanna do us, screw us, who us? Yeah, Papa and Mama. Close like Starsky and Hutch, stick to clutch. Yeah, I squeeze 3 at your cherry M3, bang every MC easily. Recently, niggas frontin' ain't saying nothing, so I just keep my peace, keep my peace. Even with the Jesus peace, with my peace. Asking who want it, you got it, nigga flaunt it. That Brooklyn bullshit, we on it.
Just trying times occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic, he will liaise with the state government to Ifeanyi Okowa and relevant agencies to take proactive steps to curtail and surmount the challenges posed by the pandemic in the shortest possible time. The lawmaker urged his constituents to remain calm.
I put hoes in NY onto DKNY. Miami, DC, prefer Versace. All Philly hoes know it's Mosquito. Every cutie with the booty or the coochie. Now who's the real thing? Meaning who's really the shit? The niggas ride dicks. Frank White push me 6 on the max. LX, 4.5. Bulletproof glass tips if I want some ass. Gon' blast me first. Ask questions last. That's how most of these so-called gangsters pass. A nigga rapping about blunts and bras, tips and bras, menage a trois, sex and expensive cars. Still you on the pavement, condo paid for, no car payment. At my arraignment, no court of training. Your daughter's tied up in the Brooklyn basement. Face it, not guilty. That's how I stay true. Richer than rich, so you niggas come and get me.
Exemplary leadership is hard in the house. He urged his constituents to sustain their support for Governor Okowa to enable him to succeed. You're watching the DRTV news. More reports will come the way shortly after this break. Stay with us.
And I just love your flashy ways. Guess it's why they broke in your soul.
I can fill you with real millionaire shit. That's cargo, my cargo. 160, swiftly. Rock it by your new one. The crew run, the crew run. I know you sick of this lame brand nigga with flow. Girl, say heat sweet like nigga with. So get with this, nigga, it's easy. Girlfriend, here's a bitch. Call me round 10, come through. Have sex on rough, that's Persian. Come up to your job, hit you while you're working. For certain, I'm a freaking, not speaking. Leave that ass leaking like rapper demo. Tell them who, take their clothes off slowly. Kill them with the force like Kobe. Dick black like Kobe. Watch me roam like Romy. Lucky they don't owe me. Where to say, show me, homie.
Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they broke in your soul. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they broke in your soul. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they broke in your soul. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they broke in your soul.
I come from Bed-Stuy. The niggas either do or they gon' die. Gotta keep the ratchet close by. Someone murdered. Nobody seen, nobody heard it. Just another funeral service. Niggas will get at you. Come through shining, they at you. In broad daylight, kidnap you. Let's get clapped through. Police stay on us like tattoos. Niggas only grind cause we have to. Money is power. Sling crack. put your lighters up. Shine down, keep putting them lighters up. No matter where you're from, put your lighters up. Let me give you a walkthrough, show you what to do and you don't do. Where it's not safe to go to. The boys approach you, better stay quick who you close to. Don't come through if niggas don't know you. The people is talking, the streets is watching. Jesus looking, that's the nine in the garbage. The life of a hustler, the life of a gambler. Dice games kill more niggas than cancer. You know who you fuck with. Brooklyn don't run, we run shit. Roll up and just bum rush it. We don't pay that. Out in BK, not at all. 4 pound, leave your face on the wall. R.I.P. in memory of. Never show thy enemies love. We get it on where we live. Better have a pass when you cross that bridge. Welcome to Brooklyn. Put your lighters up. L.A. Put your lighters up. V.A. Put your lighters up. Texas, keep putting your lighters up. New Orleans, put your lighters up. St. Louis, put your lighters up. ATL, keep putting them lighters up. No matter where you're from, put your lighters up.
Prophet like this says he has tried to keep to the promises he made to his people and completed in all
we in the club like
the 7 continents.
lighting the touch like passing the love like back at the bar like see, they told you I'm the hottest bitch on the planet. Biggest sex symbol since Janet. There's a no-thief bandit laying in the cut like a bandage. Come through Fulton Street in the Vanquish, doing the damage. And if you don't understand it, then let me give it to you in Spanish. So la señorita más linda del barrio, si no es algo fuera del espacio. Still over in Brazil, sipping Moscato. You must have forgot though, so I'ma take you back to the block, yo. Put you on a how we rock, yo. Summer boosting, 12-year-olds prostituting, hitting higher for execution. There's no solution. Niggas still pissing the hallways. Fiends get high in them all day. The youth them bang at the cops off the roof. You don't know, my town is the truth. Welcome to Brooklyn. Now put your lighters up. New Jersey, put your lighters up. Boston, put your lighters up. Ybor, keep putting your lighters up. Miami, put your lighters up. Puerto Rico, put your lighters up. Don Jamaica, keep putting them lighters up. No matter where you're from, put your lighters up.
Follow me. Eat my flesh, flesh of my flesh. Come with me. Hail Mary, run quick.
Honorable Rive added that in visited communities involved during the Ugboni herdsmen attack and moved a motion in the floor of the House calling for investigation and provision of police materials. The Central Bank of Nigeria CBN loans, Honorable Rive said about 170 people from his constituency benefited and are awaiting enforcement. Honorable Rive, who is the deputy chairman of the committee on power, stated that he used this position to ensure that electricity supply is restored to its constituency. Honorable Rive said he has ensured restoration of electricity supply to different communities including Ujewu, Okolo, Agbowan, Eruwari, Ogorodokoko, Okobala South, and Seremi Road. Others include Akufere, Reforma, Odini, Igbo Market. We disclosed that negotiations were on to restore electricity to DF Township and Alaga community gets with PDC. The federal lawmaker revealed that he has also made significant contributions in different capacities, including the relocation of a 7.5 MVA transformer from Uveli for
Penitentiaries, black with promise makers, never realized the precious time the rich niggas is wasting. Institutionalized, I live my life for product made crumble. Was too hard to force smack, with the crazy to be humble. We all catch me father peace, cause I'm hauling in the store. That's the Hennessy out here calling. Can I get some more? Hell till I be still, I ain't scared. Mama shaking in my bedroom, I ain't there. I got a head, no swings in it. What can I do? One life to live, but I got nothing to lose. Just me and you, on a long way, trip to prison. Selling drugs, we all wrapped up in this living like studs. To my homeboys, you run back, doing they deal. They say to this real shit. They feel this, but they turn out the lights. I'm black belly in this Illuminati. All through your body, blows like a 12-gauge shot. Feel me? rolling through the bitches in the rap game and so down, pray to God, hope they let me see the niggas coming for me, my diamonds when they glisten, they'll pay attention, best in peace, father, I'ma go shit, feel still, if I go in solitary miles, if a man, in the dark, who lurks in the city, please, activate my heat, let it break up to the flame, empty out my clip, never stop the game, some seconds, gators, all that's when I'm dead, finish shit first, stuff, you gotta say, yeah, but bust out the shit from the blood, mama told me never stop until I bust a dirt, fuck the world, and then just as real, when I was broke, I had to hustle till I remember, nigga, run quick, it's only one way up, stay up, to all my niggas, get your pay away up, this is only never realized the rest of the piece of shit I got to say. Realize I live my life over my life. Most man, which breaks the key. We all catch the swallow leaves. It's wrong. See out here, can I get some more? Yeah, till I be still. I ain't scared. Come and shake it in my bed. I ain't there. I gotta get it. No news in it. Can I do what I just did? But I got no just me. One way trip to prison. Selling drugs. We all wrapped up. Living like studs. Tip our homeboys and click tracks. When they leave, they raise hell to this real shit. And feel this. When they turn out the lights, I'm there in the dark. Coming eternal to my heart. Now, Hail Mary, nigga.
Nurses and midwives has been called upon to work with the government and the health sector in the state. The Commissioner for Health, who made the call in assessment in Asaba, also urged the birds to synergize with the state Ministry of Health in the efforts to improve maternal and infant mortality, particularly in the rural communities.
How many brothers fell victim to the street? Rest in peace, young nigga. There's a heaven for you. Be alive if I told you that I never thought of that. My niggas, we the last ones. But life goes on. How many brothers fell victim to the street? Rest in peace, young nigga. There's a heaven for you. Be alive if I told you that I never thought of that. My niggas, we the last ones. Life goes on. Through the empty halls, breath stinking in my jaws. Ring, ring, ring. Watch y'all. Here come and call. Plus it's my homie from high school. We getting by. It's time to worry. Another brother, nobody cry. Like it's a ball, alcohol and booty calls. We used to do them as adolescents to keep it calm. Raise the G's, loped out, blaze the weed. Get on the roof, let's get smoked out and blaze with me. 2 in the morning and we still assed out.
The rural and hard-to-reach communities dispassionately suffer more of maternal and under 5 mortalities, attributing the sad development to shortage of nurses and midwives willing to live and work in those communities. He said the program was therefore designed to admit candidates who have been selected from the communities by the people in collaboration with local government council authorities. Commissioner stated that there was no need to serve forms to prospective trainees as the conditions of service will be governed by the state scheme of service at the end of the training. Dr. Onaye explained further that the trainees would be bonded to work in the communities that nominated them for some years before proceeding further training if they so desired. He explained that besides Delta State, 16 other states in the country have keyed into the policy of the council and have been operating the programs for several years. As regards the qualification for admission, the health commissioner said it was not different from qualification for admission into other nursing and midwifery programs in the state, which requires 5 credit passes in the ordinary level certificate examination or its equivalent, including English language, mathematics, and 3 science subjects, biology, chemistry, and physics. He said those admitted would be trained in the same institutions and by the same tutors as candidates of other programs, and hence the question of professional inadequacy does not arise. The statement further added that before accepting to implement the program in Delta State, tutors in 3 schools of nursing and 2 schools of midwifery in the state were consulted. He said the tutors have since distanced themselves from the position of some members of the leadership of the state chapter of the Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives. Dr. Onaye described development as unacceptable as the state of the regulatory body for nurses and midwives in Nigeria, not its body of the state of the
NCDC on Wednesday night announced 409 new cases of COVID-19 in the country, bringing the total number of infected persons to 13,873. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control in a tweet revealed that the new cases were recorded across 16 states, with the epicenter Lagos State recording the highest number with 201 new cases, while the Federal Capital Territory FCT had 85 cases and Delta State had its highest case ever in one day, with a record of 22 new cases, and its neighboring Edo State recorded 10 cases. According to reports from the health agency, Nasarawa, Kaduna and Borno State recorded 14 cases each. Bauchi State had 10 cases, and River State had 9 cases. The tweets from the NCDC asked that Enugu and Kaduna State had 5 cases each. Ogun and Ondo State recorded 4 cases each, while Bayelsa, Kebbi and Plateau States recorded 2 cases each. Available statistics from the NCDC also shows that so far 4,351 persons have been discharged and 382 deaths recorded.
The
adoption of Western civilization and habits in some African countries have been blamed for the high level of indiscipline amongst the youth in the continent. In this special report, some residents spoke with correspondent Ifeanyi Onyejuke in Warri suggested that to correct the trend, parents must revert to African traditional values and the upbringing of their children.
The African culture in time past was well known for its communal way of life, as families, including relatives, lived together while the children assisted their parents in the farm. The bond of unity binding families was an expression of the robust characteristics of communalism among Africans. Children in the family are taught to show respect to every elderly person. The edge for the get-rich-quick syndrome was entirely absent. Rather, the competition among youth was to be the champion in wrestling and other festive events. Sequel to the post-colonial era, the mindset began to change as some Nigerians and Africans decided to embrace the newfound culture inherited from the Europeans. Reacting to the development, the Esunupe of Warri and its environs, Alhaji Tajuddin Mohammed and Secretary of the Agbon Traditional Council, Chief Emmanuel Abu, said the neglect of the African culture in place of the white man's culture was alarming. The respondents called on parents to always communicate to their children using their local dialect and equally teach the female children the recipe and procedures for preparing various African dishes. Alhaji Muhammad and Chief Awuru, however, urged Nigerians to copy the positive sides of the Western culture.
All the pain is getting worse. Nothing like this. If you have a child, other people can take care of your child. I don't wanna see no doubt. But this is not the I need attendance from my nurse around the clock. The child is just as if, cause there's no prescription for me. We call it child abuse. She's the one, the only remedy. I will not be part of the thing that will make my child go. Night nurse. Only you alone can quench this thirst. My night nurse. All the pain is getting worse.
They reiterated the importance of the African culture and advocated that society must deliberately investigate if some of these societal anomalies must be addressed. For DRTV,
she's so beautiful.
Governor Ifeanyi Okowa has expressed sadness over the death of the traditional representatives of the Ife West and Ukpa local government area on the board of Delta State Oil Citizen Area Development Commission, the SOPA, Honorable Joyce Overa. In a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Mr. Olisai Pejika, on Wednesday in Asaba, Governor Kowa commiserated with the people of Asaba local government area and a Lume community in particular over the demise of the renowned politician and People's Democratic Party PDP chieftain. The statements noted that the late Honorable Overa was a grassroots politician and administrator who excelled as Education Secretary, Member House of Representatives, and as Commissioner for Science and Technology from 2016 to 2019. According to the statement, the deceased was a thoroughbred politician whose love for his people led him to contest and won elections to represent them in the lower chamber of the federal parliament. It describes the news of Honorable Overa's death as a terrible shock, adding that the late Joyce Overa was a gentleman politician who distinguished himself in the service of his people. The statement added that the late Joyce Overa, as a member of the State Executive Council in his first term of the present administration, demonstrated commitment to the unity and development of the state, which was infectious and led to his being made the Dean College of Commissioners.
There is a shortage of 500,000 machine learning and artificial intelligence professionals. Keeping this in mind.
According to the statement, Governor Kowa regretted that the late former federal lawmaker and cabinet member in the state passed on when he said this were losing leaders, adding that the state government and the people would make a choice. The late Honorable Joyce Overa, who hails from Elume in Saple local government area, reportedly died on Tuesday in Saple after a brief illness at the age of 59 years. So rest in peace. And with that, we wrap up the DRTV news. But
DJ upon Russ.
Look at one of our major stories tonight. To commemorate the nation's Democracy Day, President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to address the nation tomorrow by 7 in the morning. The special advisor to President Muhammadu Buhari on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, in a statement on Thursday said that television and radio stations, as well as other electronics media outlets, are enjoined to hook up to the network services of the Nigerian Television Authority (NTA) and Radio Nigeria, respectively, for the broadcast on Friday. Thank you so much for being part of the news. I am Ori Esima.